How did a healthcare trial attorney become a serial entrepreneur focused on businesses that increase inclusivity for the LGBT plus community? Today, our guest is sharing the best startup stories, including his most recent endeavor, which is frankly a big, hairy, audacious idea, if you ask me. And it's a comprehensive digital platform providing inclusive, personalized healthcare that's easily accessible and affordable. Oh, I'm so excited for you to meet our guest today. Stay tuned for the Startup Life live show. Let's glow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founders' startup stories to help newly minted business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed. And I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and up your founder game while celebrating another founder's journey. You never know, a resource, a tool, a solution, an aha moment can send you back to your business model to create the solutions that you're looking for. We learn so much from each other's startup stories. If you're joining us live today, please say howdy in the comment threads. Always love seeing you there. You can add so much value with your questions and your comments. So thank you for that. And if you're watching the replay, same thing. Share hashtag replay in the threads. And if you have any questions for my guest or myself, we will be happy to swing by and answer them. And if you resonate with the show's mission of amplifying diverse founders' voices while serving first-time founders around the world, please consider supporting the Startup Life live show with a small donation via Patreon. All the details are on my website, andelyons.com. And thank you for sharing your love on this video, wherever you're watching, because, we're live right now on LinkedIn and YouTube and Periscope and Twitch and Facebook. So when you click on that like button, it goes out to your community. And there may be someone in your community that you don't even know about who will benefit from our conversation today. So thank you for adding your ripple effect to the show. And if you are on YouTube right now and you haven't subscribed, my gosh, I'd love your subscribe love, as well as you're clicking on the bell icon on YouTube there so that you're alerted whenever we have a new live show posted there. So let me tell you about our wonderful guest, Justin Ayers. Okay, so I'm just going to put up some artwork here. Justin is a self-proclaimed recovering healthcare trial attorney turned serial entrepreneur. And he began his founder journey in 2009 when he opened an inclusive coffee shop, which he sold in 2011, and then opened an inclusive bar and restaurant, which he sold in 2014 to focus on his next business, Q Media, a regional LGBTQ plus multimedia marketing company. And then during 2020, the Q Media team discovered how the pandemic exacerbated the existing healthcare disparities experienced by members of the LGBTQ plus community. So, as one does when they're a serial entrepreneur, they solved that problem. And in 2021, they are launching equalityMD, a comprehensive digital platform providing inclusive, personalized healthcare that easily accessible and affordable. We are going to learn so much from Justin. Let me bring him into the room with the usual woohoo. So happy to have you here. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy. I don't know where I was online, but when you went by, I was like, I grabbed it.
Was it drive-by or what?
Yeah, well, that's how I feel sometimes, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn, everything's going so fast. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to learn more about this amazing man and equalityMD. And then, I learned that this wasn't like your first rodeo. So I dove into that and I said, okay, I've got to take you to the Startup Life Live community so that everybody can learn about you and the amazing things that you're doing. And I just want to say a quick hello to Mia Voss. Hey there, you wonderful goddess, you host of the podcast that you must subscribe to on Spotify called shit we don't talk about. Mia goes there every episode with amazing guests, and you will love what she does. She's also a brand ambassador and a mouthy activist. So you can always find some interesting, inspirational information wherever Mia is glowing in the world. Where are you hanging from today, Justin?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia.
Love it. I lived in Charlottesville for a while, a couple of years. So
Not that far away.
No, it isn't. So I understand that part of the world. We're here in Boston. We could barely see anything yesterday because of the fires. It was just insane out there.
That's too bad.
Yeah, who knew? But we were moving and grooving along. Where are you at on the roller coaster? Like if you were to say right now, here's my barometer check, or on the roller coaster ride of startup life, this is, probably your fourth, fifth business. Where would you say you are today on that ride? Are you, going into the hot zone? Are you cooling off? Are you on the chugging up to the top of the roller coaster? Are you like, wee? Where are you?
Every day it's a roller coaster. It's so I wouldn't say that I'm on this point in my journey because it started way back when, and this is where I am now. It's an evolutionary journey, and you never know what steps are going to be ahead of you, but you can always make your own luck. So where am I today? In a very good place. And where am I going to be this afternoon? Maybe not so good, but you know what? We always come back up. You don't hit rock bottom, you hit a spring and you bounce right back up.
Oh, I love that image. Yes, yes, yes. And 1 minute, folks, you can be popping that champagne. The next minute you can be crying in it, and then you can be popping it again. It's just the building of these type of muscles that manage the uncertainty better and better every day, right, Justin? And keep
that's exactly right. And I am a type person that I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable, but it took a while to get to that point. And I encourage my team and any entrepreneur to be comfortable in the uncomfortable zone. And in fact, if you're very comfortable, challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone and do something uncomfortable. It'll help you grow.
I love that. I may be having, one of these experiences very early on, everybody. Oh yeah, that's an Andelicious moment, because that is seriously, as we were saying earlier, stepping out of your comfort zone. Of course, some of us at some point were like, could we just hang out in the comfort zone for a while? But really, that's the beauty of this journey. And we're going to go into Justin's startup stories, but it's what you learn about yourself. And you see those memes all the time saying, step out of your comfort zone. But this is why, right? You're going to find out something about yourself that's amazing. Any of you tuning in live, I want to remind you to please amplify your startup, your brand right here. We will pop it up on the big screen. We will have your website and the website's URL and the name, and please share your one-liner. And I'll get out the clappers and cheer you on. And Justin, I know will share some good vibes, and pop questions into the comment section, because we learn from you during this conversation. Questions inspire, comments inspire further delicious conversation here on the Startup Life Live show. So thank you for everybody. And I will continue to remind you to do that. So Justin, can we talk about your origin story for a second? Because I love this one article I read that said that you were a recovering healthcare trial attorney.
Yep.
So
that is true.
I mean, you invested money to go to law school, and come out on the other side, and you chose healthcare. Why?
I came out of law school during the Great Recession, and I took a job. What I wanted to do was energy litigation, but at that point in time, young lawyers weren't really getting jobs, so I took what I could get, and it turned out going back to DC, where I'm from, and doing healthcare litigation. I was defending insurance companies primarily in workman's comp cases, and it was not a fun job.
Oh boy!
I won every case I had, so I was good at it, but I hated it. And
Justin,
so then,
when you're defending the health insurance companies, you're hearing some pretty horrific stories.
Oh yes, and a lot of it, unfortunately, when at least on the workers' comp side, are people trying to game the system, and that makes it very hard for those who truly deserve the help that they need to get it.
So now every day you're getting hit with the hard facts of life, even though you were able to sharpen your tools, your legal tools, and say, okay, I'm good at this, but is this what I want to do in life?
Right.
And so you became, to me, a really passionate advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. And you began that soon after the recession, right? Like
That's right.
2009, you were like,
Yeah.
okay, get me out of here. Um, why that angle of opening up a coffee shop? Share with everybody how, first of all, you got to find a great location. You got to figure out a menu. You're going to have things with shelf life. How did you go into the coffee shop?
Well, I went to the judge that I clerked with in Norfolk, Virginia, and my family, they're all musicians, and I'm the weird black sheep that goes to law school. And so he said, you have this innate artistic disposition, but you have this incredible legal background, so you can be a critical thinker, a great articulator of thought, and actually put things into motion creatively, but see it through financially.
Right.
So I thought, well, what's the best place to merge those two types of my personalities, two halves of my brain, if you will? And where do people go? What is the greatest meeting place in America? It's a coffee house, coffee shop. So why not start there and really start listening to others and to myself and to see where the future would go from there? That's why the coffee shop.
And also, you can bring in all ages to a coffee shop.
And it turns out that what my business partner, Jesse Levancher, and I did when we created that coffee shop is we had no intention of it being an LGBTQ inclusive shop. We just were our authentic selves. Yeah. And by being so, others recognized who we were. We never hid anything. And it drew people from all walks of life to it. And without even trying, it became a safe haven for LGBTQ youth from high schools around the region. And that was just a beautiful thing. And they even became our employees eventually.
Oh, I love that. That gives me goosebumps. And everyone watching, that's what the vibe with your tribe is all about.
That's right.
You can do that with your customer segmentation. Once you figure out how they vibe, you can show up authentically for them so that they can come in. That's a beautiful.
We didn't have a rainbow flag. We were just ourselves. And by being ourselves, people picked up on that and they could be themselves.
Oh, and inclusivity. There is no better feeling. Brene Brown has that wonderful quote about belonging, from her book about belonging. And it's a lot of it at times we're searching all the time to belong or fit in. And so part of that journey is belonging to ourselves. And so through what you did with the coffee shop, I really feel like you created a level of belonging so folks can fit in, feel like they belong, but also in themselves that they belong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think the hardest thing anyone can do in their life, no matter what line of work they're in, is to know themselves.
Yes.
To thine own self be true. Well, that's a lot harder than it sounds. And it takes years of work, introspection, asking yourself the hard questions and answering them.
Right.
But it's good work. It's good hard work.
It's good hard work, and we can do hard things, as Glennon Doyle says, right?
That's right.
And that's why I love the entrepreneurial journey, is that it kind of forces you to get into awareness.
Absolutely.
And as you get a deeper awareness, and folks, it is a lifetime journey and a lifetime practice because you're evolving. And so as you get into a deeper level, you need a bigger shovel, whatever you want to say, but it's that awareness continues to grow and you're just constantly peeling back the beautiful layers.
Always. It's every day can be a teachable moment if you let it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Now I'm sorry. I have to stop for that one. I do. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of these with you, Justin, but
I used to be a history teacher, so watch out.
Okay. So you've got these sound bites down.
I don't know. It just comes out, after years of failing forward, it comes out.
Absolutely. But every day can be a teachable moment if we allow it and stay conscious about it. Hey, I'm just going to say a quick howdy do. Hey, Brent from Ottawa, Canada. It means the world to me when you show up and say hello. And by the way, thank you for all your retweet love too. That really helps us reach more folks on Twitter. So I'm so grateful for you and for that. So you had the coffee shop and it had its life journey. I mean, I really
Yep.
believe as a founder of 4 businesses, at least, each business had its own kind of soul journey, life
Yeah.
span, so to speak. Talk to us about what happened and how you saw the signs to sell the coffee shop and move on to your next endeavor.
Well, the coffee shop, we eventually moved to Richmond, Virginia, and the coffee shop was in Williamsburg, Virginia. We'd always planned on opening up a space in Richmond, a bar, restaurant, nightclub space. And it took a lot of effort to do that and took a lot of money and skills, where we were going into an abandoned tobacco warehouse that hadn't been used since the 50s. No electricity, no indoor plumbing, let alone no kitchen. So we had to start from literally scratch and do an entire build out. And we worked with the city of Richmond and with the state to get certain tax rebates and credits to make sure that we could do what we wanted to do effectively and affordably. And while we were running the coffee shop, we were doing the build at the same time, knowing that eventually we would sell the coffee shop to focus full time on the operation of the restaurant when that opened. Right. And that was called 2113 Bistro.
Nice. And did you actively pursue or look for buyers for the coffee shop, or did you have a few folks in the wings?
We sold it to the University of Tennessee, of all things.
Yeah, I need to know more.
It was a mobile coffee kiosk, okay. And so they bought the kiosk to put in their student union center.
Wow. Well, I have some mentees who just opened after 6 years of trying to make this happen, a restaurant, bar, nightclub. There are 2 DJs that are amazing and then had a very successful DJ career, but they'd always wanted to do a restaurant and bar. Oh my gosh, that takes forever. I've worked at restaurant bars, so I know all the constraints that you have, especially high turnover and, again, shelf life, everybody, food. How did this go? Tell me more about how the bar and restaurant unfolded.
I'll say that being a courtroom litigator was easier than running a restaurant, because when you're a trial lawyer, there are certain deadlines and dates, and there are certain things that you do that you go through the list. But when you open a restaurant, you know you're going to walk into a fire of some kind. You just don't know what. And so you walk in there with an open mind, thinking you're going to do ABC, and all of a sudden you realize there's this thing over here you got to take care of, whether that employee didn't show up, or employee stole from you, or you just didn't have what you needed for an event you're throwing for, say, the First Lady of Virginia. So you have to be very, very cognizant of your surroundings, including the people you're working with and putting your trust in. So to say it's a walk in the park, I would encourage anyone, much like buying a boat, know what you're getting into.
That's
and
right.
The thing is, you never can know until you're there.
Oh, honestly, Justin, as someone who had a food manufacturing business, when I got started and really got in, and then I was too far in to turn back.
Yeah.
I told people I would have just checked myself into a Betty Ford clinic or something had I known.
Right.
Like, what was wrong? And I had a shelf life with my product. It was so hard. And I know that the restaurant and bar, you've got so many plates spinning in the air, managing all of that. And you're right, everything is about putting out the fire. Yeah. So now you've gone from this lovely, delicious, conversational place where you're providing a wonderful place for folks to build community, to you're putting out the fire everywhere you go. It's a whole different level of skill set and muscles that you were burning. So I just want to say congratulations. You lasted how long as a restaurant bar owner?
2.5 years. I will say, they say that a legal education is the best thing you can get, because the lessons you learn, you can apply to everything. Okay. And people tell me sometimes, oh, it's too bad you don't use your law degree. You spent so much money getting that. So, damn it, I use it every day. I wouldn't be who I am but for it. And the lessons I learned and the trials, literally, and tribulations I went through as an attorney helped me be a better restaurateur, a better entrepreneur, and able to deal with all the opportunities and challenges as they came at the speed of life. And you have to do that.
Yeah, and your understanding, of course, and one of the most important laws out there, human resource, folks, employment law. Oh my gosh. Yes. That is key.
Incredible.
But also, your ability, I mean, my understanding is when you go through law school, you learn how to have those difficult conversations.
Yes.
And especially as a trial attorney, how to kind of just like put it out there.
Well, and there are several courtroom trial strategies I employed that are applicable to anyone. If the judge asks you a question and you don't know, you say, "I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't know, but I'll get back to you with an answer as soon as I can." Admitting what you don't know is extremely empowering, and you have to be able to do that rather than BS your way through something.
And why is it empowering? Let's talk about that.
Because if you believe you know everything, you don't know anything. You have to, it goes back to knowing yourself. And if you realize you don't know something about X and you want to, you go out and learn something about X. And maybe you realize that's for me. That's what I should be doing. Or you realize it sounded good on paper, but in reality, not so much.
Right.
So you have to be aware of what you don't know so that you can realize what you like and maybe just learn more about yourself.
I agree 100%. I used Maya Angelou's quote a lot in parenting and raising kids, as well as raising businesses, which is, I didn't know that then. Now that I know now, I do better now. I'm, not grab. Her quote, the one about once you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always my fallback. Okay, I know better now. I'll do better now. But that's really tricky. So you built this another incredible skill set using your foundational legal background and education. Now it's 2014 and you're ready to do some other things. Talk to us about that.
It's interesting. During that time frame, a gentleman named Bill Harrison approached me, and he said he ran the LGBT Center in Richmond, now called the Diversity Center. And he said there used to be this LGBTQ business alliance, Chamber of Commerce, some 10, 15 years ago had gone defunct. And he thought I'd be the perfect person to breathe new life into it. So I looked at it was a program at the community center at the time. I looked at it and it was awful. The paperwork, everything. So I just put dynamite in and blew it up, legally speaking, and created a whole 501(c) not-for-profit Chamber of Commerce for the city of Richmond, and grew it from 1 to 100 in less than a year. And our first member was 2113 Bistro. Oh. And so we started having meetings at the restaurant.
Yes.
And so that's really how I became and embraced more my professional gay status. Right. And went out there into the world and at conferences for the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, met other business owners from Main Street to Wall Street. And it was amazing the number of connections I made. And that's where I learned there were so many stories to be told.
Sure.
And how could I be a better person? I'd always sort of wanted to be a politician, but I realized I could do more in the private sector than in the public sector.
Yeah.
And so in 2014, when we sold the restaurant, I thought, what to do next? I thought maybe a statewide LGBT Chamber of Commerce to really bring people together through the language of economics, or do something else. And we started, Jesse Levanter, my partner, and I started a company called Q Media. And our motto was to promote equality through storytelling. We had no political agenda. We didn't have any sexual content in our publication, in any event that we did. It was just about people being people, sharing their stories with each other.
Wow. Now, I did not know that we had, and bad on me, that we had a national LGBTQ plus
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
And they have chapters all over the country and now even internationally.
Oh, it's going to be on my radar everywhere I look now. That's, of course, it's there. Now, folks, again, wherever you are falling, but if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you are a founder, this could be a great resource for you. I imagine there's mentorship and other benefits.
There's mentorship, and they do a certification, because you can get a women-owned, minority-owned business, but because sexual orientation and gender identity is not legally classified as a minority status, you can't get certified as minority status when it comes to things like corporations trying to do supplier diversity initiatives and look out for small businesses to help them in their diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. So how do you do that? You go through the NGLCC, National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and they can certify you as a LGBT business enterprise, LGBTBE. And there's a lengthy certification process, but you can slap that on your website because they certify that you are authentically LGBTQ owned or operated, managed. And suddenly the world opens in terms of new opportunities and new connections that you never knew you had.
I got to tell you, I am just goosebump and very, very excited about this. Folks, I am going to have all the links in the show notes so that you can quickly go and find this. I'm just going to have to even do a video about it now.
Yeah, we're proud members of the National LGBT Chamber, and we are LGBT Business Enterprise certified.
Right. Oh my gosh. Hey, Brent, I am so glad that eating lunch and viewing the Startup Life live show is your jam. I'm so grateful for that. And of course, Asia. Hi, Asia. She's getting hungry thinking about this and wondering what you're eating. You know, side conversations always happen in the comment threads during the show among those who are viewing. So now you have set up a very interesting business, Q Media. And you know, you're looking at research, you're trying to understand and get a barometer check while sharing the stories, right, through Q Media. Talk a little bit more about that, and then talk a little bit more about how it evolved into Equality Rewards.
Sure. We started in January of 2015 with Q Media. We had a print publication, also lots of online presence. We even did the first statewide LGBT wedding show in the Commonwealth of Virginia at the convention center. And the Attorney General came and kicked it off, which was great. And that was even before marriage equality became law. And when we hosted our wedding shows, we didn't just have bakers and florists. We realized people were starting a new life together. So we had real estate agents, fertility clinics, bankers, because if you're going to start a life together, you better have all these things.
You need your dream team.
Right. It's after you cut the cake and go home, you wake up and you think, oh shit, I have a life to live now.
Right.
What do I do? Where do I go? And so we brought all these inclusive businesses in. And I sort of became a subject matter expert on LGBTQ marketing and media and started doing the circuit around the country and from small businesses to big businesses. And the big question was, how does this demographic, the LGBTQ plus community, spend their money? As a consumer market, where can I find data on how they behave?
Right.
And
in the different diverse groups too, right?
That's right, because the LGBTQ plus community represents every other demographic that's out there. Absolutely. And you can purchase consumer behavioral patterns on any demographic you want to a frightening degree. But you can't with LGBTQ plus, because if you get 100 LGBTQ members in the room and say, how many of you identify with this community? Not everyone's going to raise their hand.
No.
Because it's a very personal thing to be able to come out and say, yes, I'm a part of this community.
Right.
And who are we to say that you are not part of the community because you don't raise your hand? It's a very personal thing. So it's hard to measure.
And the time is up to you when
Correct.
You do feel comfortable.
So the question was, how do we measure that? And so we realized after years of hearing this, opinion surveys are out there and they can sort of be some barometer of some level, but opinion surveys are just opinion surveys. There's no real data. And so in 2019, we took a pivot and started Equality Rewards. Same company, just different mission. And we were trying to measure the LGBTQ consumer behavior. It's a niche market out there, valued at $1 trillion. So we wanted to do so, but also help the consumer identify those brands that were authentically inclusive, not just the ones that rainbow wash their business during Pride, hang up a rainbow flag, but were there for you in October, that were there for you in March, and really practice what they preach. They were in the community, and it's hard for people when they're buying a scarf or a computer to know whether that business has inclusive hiring practices and whether they treat their employees fairly. Right. And so we did all that homework for them. And so we had a red, yellow, green stoplight system as to what businesses were inclusive. And if the business that you wanted to was not inclusive in the red zone, we guided you to one that was. And so that way we could measure how people shopped online, but also provided information so you could make a data-driven consumer decision.
Exactly. And when you are part of a diverse group who is underrepresented, underserved, marginalized, etc., you want to spend your money with folks who honor who you be. And
Vote
so
with your wallet.
with your wallet. Yeah, vote with your wallet. Exactly. I'm all for that big time. And I really appreciate that you did that hard work and provided such a valuable service. So now it's 2020.
Right. Well, we went through a national technology accelerator in 2019.
Oh, congratulations.
Created thank you. And then early 2020, we came out with our minimum viable product, which was this Chrome web browser plugin I just mentioned for equality rewards. And then March comes along in 2020 and the world just stops.
Yeah.
And so does equality rewards.
Yeah.
And so while the world takes a long pause, and we have the opportunity to look inwards and think. I jokingly say that when you graduate from law school, you're called a counselor at law. They didn't tell you that you're a counselor at life. So people have always come to me, whether it's I got a DUI or I'm having a relationship issue. I've always been someone people have come to.
I can tell them. I mean, I know everybody watching too. I just want to say then for the listeners too, you can hear it in Justin's voice. He is a safe space. Just saying.
Thank you. And I really do try to be, because I try to be myself, but allow a space for others to be who they are, no matter what that is. And the one question my entire life I've had is, where can I find a medical provider who creates the environment in which I can be my authentic self so that I can receive the medical care that I deserve as a human being, and I won't get judged, and I won't feel that I'm being discriminated. And that's a very challenging question. And COVID really laid this bare, because it made the health disparity that our community faces even more cognizant for in everyday people's lives. Because they've always known, our community's known, I know people drive 6 hours to go to a doctor they're comfortable with. But when you can't go there because you're stuck at home or quarantined, what do you do?
Right.
And so telemedicine became a big thing. And so I thought, well, why not be able to match a LGBTQ patient with a medical provider who doesn't necessarily have to be LGBTQ themselves, but they are inclusive and they've had training and they know how to create that space where you can be yourself, even if just on your screen, as well as in the medical office, and put the humanity back into healthcare and make it less clinical.
Absolutely, because you're going to have conversations that you will only feel comfortable having with someone who is inclusive and aware and non-judgmental. Right. Because, health and challenges are going to be different for where you are. And it can be so uncomfortable and unfair when you start having a conversation with someone who is biased. And you pick up on that, right? You're probably pretty hyper on that. So you created
equalityMD. And I actually, on my birthday, October 3rd, made the decision to transfer everything I've done from history teacher to lawyer to entrepreneur in the coffee business to restaurant to media to data analytics, and say, let's take all of that and make this equalityMD. And I'm a doctor of law, not medicine, but I really enjoy bringing people together and doing good. I think we can do well by doing good.
Oh my gosh. So, this is a huge hole in the market.
Huge.
And a problem that needs solving. And we know telemedicine works. We know telehealth works. We've all had Zoom calls with our doctors over the last year, so we know it is effective. So first of all, congratulations that you don't have to prove that. Especially if you're raising money, investors are going to go, oh yeah, I've actually had a Zoom call with my doctor,
Right.
So now you don't have to, it's kind of like, this is where I get really excited, Justin. And I get, because it's like Airbnb never would have worked. Uber never would have worked if we hadn't had the big recession, right?
That's right.
Nobody would have had a stranger in their home or hopped into a stranger's car.
True.
But now COVID, so it was raising money for that became very easy. Same thing with what you're doing and helping people go, oh yeah, that makes sense because I've had these conversations. Yes.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is that a lot of people, as I discussed this issue with people, whether they're angel investors or just folks on the street, if they're not part of the community, most don't realize that this has been an issue for generations. way back before
Oh,
the AIDS crisis. I mean, for decades, being
uh,
gay was considered a mental disorder. And
oh,
that stigma still exists today.
yes. Yes. I'm just recalling 1982, 83,
Oh,
84, Reagan administration, all the
yeah.
challenges that we had that time. But you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. In the
it,
70s, 60s, 50s.
terrible. And the Reagan administration ignored the AIDS crisis, which was a pandemic,
Yep.
and more people died on American soil from HIV/AIDS than in Vietnam.
Yes.
And that's just deplorable. So, with
It's
that in
so
mind,
deplorable.
people still have this genuine trepidation about going into a doctor's office. From any letter of our community, LGBTQ plus, can I be myself?
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, where can I go? And some people hadn't been to the doctor for 30 years, and some people were just new college student from rural
Yeah.
America and didn't feel comfortable coming out at home, but wanted to go see a doctor and be themselves. But they could do so through a platform like ours. Whereas
Yeah.
before, where would they go?
Exactly. Well, I just want to say congratulations because I know, folks, and I just want you to really, I'm going to pull this up again. Please go visit the website, equalitymd.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You've got some great soft launch information coming up, but
Yeah.
this is so important. I want the Startup Life Live community to just really follow you and add wind to your sails and really help you promote this because I think we're going to be hearing a lot about this platform that you have been uniquely prepared to do because, Justin, this is a big, hairy, audacious idea whose
It
time
is.
is ready. And you have had all these experiences along the way to prepare yourself to lead this company and lead this initiative and effort. So I just, first of all, yay.
But for everything I've done up until now, I would never have been able to do what I do. But I also have to say, when I started this, I surrounded myself with people who are much more intelligent than I am.
Hey,
This would not be possible without my team. And I'm so grateful. I'm humbled
yes.
by their ability to do what they're doing to help make my vision a reality, to help a community that's in need of
So let's
real
talk about
service.
that
All right.
because we had a wonderful guest in September who has a telehealth company for space travel and said the same exact thing, bringing on all the smarty pants
Yeah.
people with degrees and understanding, because when you're doing telehealth, you're going into an area of not just medicine, so degreed requirements, but you're going into regulatory territory,
Oh, yes.
which so you've got to bring people on who have an understanding of that aspect of the business. So let's talk about how you have built your team.
Well, first, you start with an army of lawyers. And every good lawyer will tell you they never represent themselves in anything.
Right.
And so we have a good relationship with a good law firm and a good accounting firm. And so they helped us build some of the bones, if you will.
Yeah. And
But
folks,
then
can I just say one thing real quickly, Justin?
Sure.
I want to remind founders, especially you first-time founders, do not skimp on getting a great attorney and a great insurance and a great accountant. These are your dream team. They protect you and will make sure that you step forward safely on
Yes.
all levels. So just wanted to say that, Justin. Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
it's worth every penny because your mistakes are going to be costing 10, 20, 30 times more. And it might even put you out of business.
It could easily put you out of business. Let me tell you a quick story too, folks that are tuning in. There's a company that is just making it big time, right? But when they set up initially, after they went through the back of the napkin with the co-founders, they used LegalZoom for their operating agreement. Well, they've got somebody who bagged out early, and that person has a nice chunk of this business and has not had to work a day for everything that they're reaping. And when this business goes public, they'll get all this money and they have not worked for it because of that operating agreement in the beginning. That's just a really glaring example that I wanted to share, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah.
A teachable moment, right?
Yes, it is. It is. Lawyers are not your enemies. They are your friends, and find good ones.
Absolutely.
So
Go
That's the
ahead. So,
team to start. And then
yeah.
brought on my business partner, Rick Gilchrist, who's our chief operating officer. Wonderful founder, wonderful guy, good friend. And he's truly the yin to my yang, and is able to see the vision. And although he's not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, he is, because he's an ally,
Right.
and he gets it. He even saw a gay doctor in DC, and when the gay doctor left, he felt that he had trouble finding somebody being himself,
Right.
saying, "Oh, how many drinks did you have last weekend? Maybe add a few." Doctors always add a few more when drinking and smoking comes up. But try having those conversations about your sexual orientation, gender identity.
That's
So
right.
he gets it. So we have that, and we have our great chief financial officer. But even before that, I should stress mentors. Mentors are everything, because then they become advisors, and they could help you avoid the pitfalls. Or if you go into a pitfall, they can help pull you out faster.
Right.
And they are incredibly valuable. In fact,
So,
I would advise
yeah,
you to have an advisory team in addition to your operating team.
I love that advice. Let's talk about why and how. We talk about mentors and people reach out, people are busy. How do you get a mentor passionate enough about what you're doing, right? How do you find those that want to come on and are willing to take time out of their busy life because they have an understanding of your space? Wherever you are, founders out there, there's going to be mentors available, but bringing them on. What advice do you have for them, Justin?
Show up to everything.
Yeah.
If there's a networking event, show up. You don't want to go, show up. If there's an opportunity with someone speaking, show up. Because not only will you learn and meet people, you'll find the mentors so easily without even trying. If there's a startup competition, a pitch, go. If there's anything, just even if virtual, you have to show up, because then you can begin a conversation. And the mentor isn't mentoring their business, they're mentoring you. And at the end of the day, the business is about the people running it. Otherwise, it's just widgets. So if they believe in you, they'll become your mentor, but you have to ask.
Absolutely. I love that. And how do you manage the relationship going forward? What have you learned about mentorship in that regard? Because again, knowing how to ask for help, get that advice. And folks, your mentors are there too for you as an individual, as a founder, because it's an isolating experience. You can't talk to your team members about what do I do here? You can't show them uncertainty. You can't show your vendors or investors or customers your uncertainty at that moment in time while you're figuring it out. How do you manage the mentorship process? What advice do you have?
Well, you're absolutely right. One is the loneliest number. But the thing is, you're never alone if you choose not to be.
Yeah.
And that, as a history teacher in England, before I went to law school, I learned more from my students than I ever could have taught them. And the best teacher is themselves a student.
Yeah.
And so open yourself up to knowing nothing and learning everything. Just be a sponge. And even if you've heard what that mentor say, for they're a business expert, you've heard it before, you think you know it, listen again, because they might have a perspective or see things through a lens that you just don't. And sometimes you have to hear things 5, 6, 8 times for it to really sink in the way it should sink in, for a way in which you can actually take that and then act upon it, rather than it just sit in your idea, in your mind, or in a desk drawer on a piece of paper.
Oh my God, that was just so beautiful. Let me just take a moment here for this. Founder journey advice extraordinaire. Mwah. I love that.
It comes from falling flat on your ass and learning.
I have one of my mentees telling me some story about how they'd raised some money and they set it up so that person, given it was a seed round, did not have a position on the board. And I'm like, my gosh, how'd you know how to do that? And they're like, Andy, you mentored that to us like 2.5 years ago. I completely forgot. So as a mentor, you have no idea the impact that you have in a business, something you might just arbitrarily have thrown out from your own haphazard experiences, whether you're involved as an employee always in your life, or if you are a founder yourself, you add value as a mentor. So I'm glad we pulled on that thread. So you've got your dream team as far as protecting you, and you've got your mentors and setting up a board of advisors. And folks, this is a great piece of advice that Justin has had, because you can set up like 3 or 4 people who you can bring in quarterly, but who are there, and you can keep them abreast of what's going on. Maybe you share a little equity in the business for their time, 0.5%, whatever, to keep that wonderful advice going forward. Now, how are you bringing in the smarty pants folks who are going to keep you, understanding how do I create this platform?
Sure.
Like
Well,
CTO and folks like that.
Yeah, there are all these technologists that are part of this company, and doing what they do is something I could never do. And I marvel at it, and I learn from it. And I need to know enough to be dangerous, as they say, but I don't need to become an expert in that as the CEO. And so as our team, our development team, our operations team are really working in these 2-week sprints. And we learn, we iterate, we go back and forth and go forward all the time. So maybe it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we communicate. So marketing communicates with the DevOps team, which communicates with the sort of operations team. You have to have that communication to be able to be a functioning team and know that there's one big roadmap, but then there's a marketing roadmap, development roadmap, an operations roadmap, a user interface roadmap, and we're all in different swim lanes. But we have to remember we're all in the same pool, and we can't let one of our teammates in the lane next to us drown. We have to help them, because otherwise.
Oh my gosh! Here we are watching the Olympics, so everybody's really clear what the swim lane looks like.
Yeah, so they're swim lanes, but they're not silos.
Right.
You can't just go back and do your work to the exclusion of your team, because that's not a team. You got to look left, look right, and if someone needs help, you stop for a second, you help them, but then you get forward together, and that's critical.
I am going to cement that analogy into my brain from now on, because that swim lane is so important, because you're the team, you're all swimming together, but you're toward the bigger goal, right? Of winning the race. And
I just laugh because there's another analogy. Lawyers love analogies. That's how we communicate. Being in the same pool, if some kid pees in the pool, you're all going to suffer. Right. You just got to figure out how to deal with that together.
Excellent. And get the water clean together. Oh, I love that. Something fierce. By the way, I just wanted to say a few comments here from Brent. He says, great success story to hear as an ally of the LGBTQ community. Allyship is so important. Thank you, Brent, for that. And what? Justin has the same birthday as you?
Oh, October 3rd. It's also Mean Girls Day for those who like Mean Girls.
Oh, God. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful news. And
I'll just say something. We would not be here as a community without our allies.
That's right.
LGBTQ, they're also AI, and there's all the other letters, and the language expands as younger generations develop new ways to express their identities.
Right.
But A is for ally, and we would not be where we are but for them.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And SGL, right?
That's right. Same gender loving. Yep.
That's a wonderful an acronym out there that we are using. And Richard O is all about doing well by doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And Brent is asking, how can I follow Justin on social media? Would love to interview him on Twitter Spaces. Yay.
Sure.
So right there, Justin Ayars, Ayars on Twitter. And of course,
I don't use the platform much, but if you care to reach out to me, I will respond. You can always reach me at justin@equalitymd.com.
Beautiful. We'll have that in the show notes as well, the email for Justin. And Brent continues with great success story to hear as an ally. Oh, yep, same birthday. Yep, we got that already. Yay!
Yay.
Love that. Okay, so how, where are you at now, and where do you, I know you've got a soft launch coming up, and folks can sign up for your newsletter and learn more, but where is the company now in its evolution? I mean, you got the swim lanes all happening, and
sure. So we're testing our MVP through various different locations. GW Hospital in DC is one. One of our investors is a emergency room trauma surgeon, and he in Los Angeles, when he was doing his residency, saw members of the LGBTQ plus community turned away at the ER doors because of who they were. And that's
Oh
in Los
no, that
Angeles,
is just breaking my heart.
right?
In Los
It,
Angeles, like you.
this happens in big cities and rural communities. It's people are people, and some are just a little less evolved, and
Oh, I am.
they can think what they want. But when it comes to healthcare, last thing I checked, Hippocratic Oath said do no harm, and
Right.
that means by turning away someone at the ER, you're doing some harm.
Yep.
By not
And
seeing someone who's coming to you for physical care, mental care, you're doing some harm. Now you can do so much good, but just by not acting, you can actually hurt someone in that position. You have a
all right. Well, we have some
responsibility.
more advocacy and allyship to be doing here. Okay, that's
Yeah,
unacceptable. And now, by testing this, though, you
we
are.
are right.
Yeah.
We're testing it and we're finding out what works in our system. We have a partnership with a great organization, a huge shout out to OutCare Health, based out of
Okay.
Indianapolis, Indiana. They started around the same time we did as QMedia in 2015. And their founder, Dr. Dustin Nowalski, who is a clinical psychiatrist, a member of the LGBT plus community, he has been training physicians across the country on how to create that inclusive space so that people can be their authentic selves when they go to see the doctor. And 74% of our community say that their primary health concern is mental health. So we're focusing on mental health to start because that affects all the rest of your body, from
Every.
how you sleep, how you feel, to how even your physical body, it can
Sure.
affect it. And people don't realize how powerful the mind is. And it's an incredible thing that we're starting with that, because particularly after this 1.5-year pandemic, we all need a little mental health checkup. And I think it's a
We
good thing
all
in
need
general.
mental help. I mean, the
Yeah,
biggest therapy everybody needs is grief counseling, and not
yeah.
just grief for what has happened, but grief for what didn't happen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health is key. And what I love about this, Justin, from a business model, is that we have better health. We have the other platforms that have already proven it works. So you don't
That's right.
have to do anything other than put your wonderful value prop into place as to why people will want to use your platform. And this is a great way, without having to bring in a lot of the constraints, HIPAA constraints, and everything from the medical world, while you figure out the platform and work out all the kinks. Yes?
It is. And we're able to, because we have to onboard doctors as
Yeah.
well as onboard patients. And so we have to make sure that both work together and that they're seeing the same thing that
Yeah.
they need to be seeing. They have the technology to communicate. But our platform doesn't just connect doctors and patients with doctors. It connects patients with other patients.
Right.
So that we
Community.
create sort of a virtual community center for people to talk about things like depression,
Right.
raising a child together,
Right.
or having a transgender child. So where do you go to talk about these things if you can't leave? And
Right.
so you have this safe space in which no data is going anywhere. We know we only collect information that pertains to your health. We're HIPAA compliant, we're GDPR compliant,
Yeah.
and we have to be, because
Yeah.
it's your health. We never collect anything personally identifiable about you, ever.
This is wonderful. And you have the tech folks on board. You've got
Yep.
everybody zooming along. And what I,
And the
again,
healthcare lawyers.
and the healthcare lawyers. But again, your lived experience, as our friend Arlen talks about in her wonderful book, It's
Yep.
About Damn Time. It's about damn time we have
I swore I would
equal.
never go back to healthcare, and here I am doing equalityMD, and I couldn't be happier.
Right. See, but you just didn't know it was going to look this way.
I had
And
no idea.
you're so ideal and so uniquely
No idea.
qualified to be doing this. And you also built up over the years how to build community through the coffee shop, through the restaurant, through the chamber of commerce. All these different steps. It's just goosebump worthy, as far as like divinely being guided along to learn what you needed to learn.
You also make your own luck. I mentioned that earlier, but
Yeah.
if I didn't show up to everything, and people in Richmond and DC joke, oh, there's Justin again. Well, guess what? They know who I am now.
Yeah.
And they know what I do. And it's elevate the LGBTQ plus community through inclusive personalized healthcare. That's our mission. They know that I
Say that one more time and louder for people in the back.
Sure. Elevating the LGBTQ plus community through inclusive, personalized healthcare.
See?
We are truly elevating an entire community that has been designated by the National Institutes of Health in 2016 as a health disparity population because they have unique healthcare concerns and lack of access to care. And we are addressing that head on.
Yep. At all levels of diversity.
Absolutely.
Which
and
is so
DE&I,
important.
diversity, equity, inclusion, they're nice buzzwords people are using. They're not just buzzwords.
No.
They're sacred principles. And people and businesses that take it to heart understand that. But there are those out there, bad actors, that are checking boxes still. Rainbow washing, if you will.
Well, but not only that, and we know from here in Boston, they canceled our gay parade this year because it was too white. You know, we have all colors out there that are members of the LGBTQ plus community. They need to be equally represented. And, you know, same challenges. There are, you know, different levels of privilege that need to be acknowledged and dealt with. So this is wonderful. And the fact that
it really comes back to knowing yourself. And it's hard to know that just because you stand in one position, the person next to you, you don't know what it's like to be in their shoes.
No.
But to be able to at least have that empathy, to start that conversation, have that understanding. You'll never know, but you can at least have the ability to converse and empathize.
Right. So you're right now with equalityMD, you're addressing the most critical factors, like you've triaged and said, okay, out of all the services we can provide, mental health is the most important right now, the most critical service we can provide right now. What do you see? How do you see the platform evolving to where folks can be in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, or, you know, anywhere and say, hey, I need some help. I need some health care. I've got symptoms and I want someone to help me, but I want them to be inclusive. Where do you see the platform going next?
So for us, it's really about partnerships. And it started with Outcare Health because they are providing us about 2,300, 2,500 providers, as well as 1 million patients. And we have people already signing up to be a part of our platform, and we haven't really started advertising yet. So so there is a need out there. We know that. And the question is, to your point, how do we get to the point where a college student in Kansas can order at-home rapid HIV testing kit? Well, we can do that starting this fall when we have a soft launch on National Coming Out Day, October 11th, 2021. So we're coming out, rather than get lost in the sea of rainbow flags during June, where the Oreo cookies got the rainbow, filling. I mean, screw that. I mean, let's talk about things that are actually going to help the community every day. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, you know that you'll be matched with, through machine learning, an inclusive provider to deliver the care that you deserve as a human being.
Well, and especially, thank you, Asia, for capturing that tagline, elevating the LGBTQ plus community through inclusive healthcare. It's a wonderful mission that heals people who have often been hurt in a myriad of ways. So true, Asia. But also, there's some wonderful meds you can take for HIV prevention.
There are.
And they're very available and they're covered. But how does somebody have that conversation if they don't know if their provider is inclusive, right?
Here's something even better. So we have relationships with the pharmaceutical manufacturers so that we're getting the same medications that Big Pharma gets, and then they jack up the rates. So we're going to be able to get them at cost and then charge just enough so that we can make a profit. And we're not going to jack up the rates so that they're ignored. They're so expensive you can't afford them. Because if you want that medication and all you can do is pay a subscription of ours of $30 a month, we want to make that available to you so that's affordable, not just accessible on your phone, but affordable under our brand name, equalityMD.
I love that.
It's the same medication you get from anywhere else.
Yes. And you just brought up the next question I wanted to ask, which was pricing. How did you land on the pricing and the subscription model?
We went out and surveyed over 1,000 people across the country and said, what would you pay for a company that connects you to a doctor that you feel all the stuff we're talking about? Be yourself. And they said, oh my God, I've been wanting this my entire life, especially for the comfort of my couch. And they said, well, I pay 13, 14 bucks for Netflix, or I pay this much for Disney Plus. And gosh, I get this much from DoorDash all the time. I easily pay $30. That was sort of the low end. Some people would pay $200, $300 for this concierge service.
Are you kidding?
But not everyone has that.
No.
So we'll have different tiered pricing.
Yeah.
But even if you don't want to have a subscription on a monthly basis, you can come in and have a one and done. If all you need is a medication, and you know that we can give you what you need at a lower price, and we're not just a pill mill like some of our competitors, you can do that knowing that we provide that environment for you, and you don't have to subscribe to our monthly subscription.
Oh my gosh. Asia, you have a great question here regarding the Reagan administration. We don't have time to answer this, but I know you can reach out to Justin and go deeper.
Yeah, I'm a former history teacher, so ask me anything about that.
Like,
watch out.
And for my readers, she's really talking about intergenerational trauma, what happened.
Huge.
Yeah. And that we'll just have to have another segment for that really important topic, Asia. So I'm grateful that you asked that. But she does have this important question, which is, would you consider extra assistance for homeless LGBTQ plus youth?
The answer is we would consider extra assistance, but we're starting off serving only those 18 and older.
Okay.
There are a host of legal issues that come into play when minors are involved. And while we know that that is an issue, there are many great nonprofits that help minors, and we will eventually be able to provide services for minors, but we want to do it right. And so to do so right, we have to get it first right for the adults, and then we can do it right for everybody.
Great question. I agree, Brent. This is a fabulous moment. And Brent, keep your eye on this amazing company, because we're all going to be talking about this in the years to come.
equalityMD. It says it all.
It says it all. And we're going to remember when we saw you here at the Startup Life Live show. How can folks viewing and listening to the show add some wind to your sails? What would really help you conquer something that you're doing that's really hard right now?
Well, we're always looking for help when it comes to fundraising, but there's can't get away from that. To build the technology fast and to do it better.
Will you do any equity crowdfunding, or are you just going through traditional VC angels?
Traditional VC angels. Unfortunately, because the check sizes we need to be able to do all the heavy technological work and all the heavy legal stuff, it's an expensive business.
It is. So folks, if you know any VCs out there or angels who not only are in healthcare, but have an appetite for something like this,
impact driven.
Pardon me?
Impact investors, huge.
Impact investors is very huge. And I know I'm thinking of folks right now while we're having this conversation who would love to learn more about this, who can write the sizable checks.
Right.
Anything else that we can do to help move you along? I know the big launch is soft launch is on October 11th.
Because we don't want to be too big, because we want to grow at a pace that we can serve our community in the way they need to be served.
Yeah.
So I never like to make promises I can't keep, but we will roll out starting October 11th, and then continue to add on services to create an entire ecosystem of products and services, so that you can buy a wellness product, whether it's a medication or a yoga mat. We'll be able to have an e-commerce platform so you can purchase whatever you like from inclusive businesses if it's not our own product. So we'll be using our friends at the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce to be able to bring them in and have an inclusive shop for your health and wellness needs.
See, like I said earlier, a big, hairy, audacious idea. Now, you've been teaching us all the way through, which has been wonderful. I love that about your capability and your words of wisdom. But when you look back on your prior experiences, and now you have been a serial entrepreneur, how has this journey served you both personally and professionally?
Professionally, it's helped me be better at serving the communities that I seek to serve. Personally, it has helped me grow as an individual in ways that I never knew possible. It has stretched me to my limit. It has thrown me against a wall and tore me up, and then you build yourself back up. You learn more about yourself by being an entrepreneur, and you learn more that there are other people out there who are also walking in the same shoes. Maybe they're doing something in a different space, but entrepreneurs, we're it's hard to explain being an entrepreneur to somebody who works a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because you don't stop working ever.
Right.
And the thing is, there's a phrase I like: entrepreneurs live 10 or 12 years of their life like no one in their right mind would, so they can live the rest of their life like nobody can.
That's true. And also, if you're in it for your why, it is a calling, not a job.
That's exactly right. When people say, "Oh, I want to go to law school," and I say, "Don't do it, unless you know why you really want to."
How
The
is
same
this gonna
applies for
serve?
being an entrepreneur.
It absolutely does, because that is the purpose that drives you to get up every day. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. And when you're having a tough day, when you're sitting there and you're feeling inadequate, which every founder does, anybody watching, you're not exempt at feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing. How do you shift out of that moment of fear or inadequacy that you're having?
Oh, it happens all the time. And I would challenge those who say otherwise to really look in deeper, because when I'm feeling inadequate, when I'm feeling truly uncomfortable, I pause and I think, I've been in a place like this before and I've overcome it. Or I look at why I'm doing what I'm doing and the impact it can have on people that I don't even know, but it might change their lives. And I reach out to my mentors and sometimes my colleagues. But it's knowing that I'm not alone and knowing that I'm doing something that is going to have an incredible impact is really powerful, and because it helps you believe in yourself. And even when on down days, and there are days where I just turn everything off, get some ice cream and watch some Netflix, and you need days like those mental health days, if you want to call them that.
That's right. And when you need them, because don't try to push through it on those tough days, folks. Get the ice cream, go do your comfort food, go do your comfort TV, whatever it is, and just put the business on a shelf.
Burnout's a real thing. And if you're burnt out as a founder, and your team sees that, that's not a good look.
Nope. Whatever you can do, whatever you can afford, just go off and do it and really carve out that time. You are going to be blown away by how restorative it is. And it brings
also, as a founder, your investors are investing in you. Yes, your vision, but in your ability to execute. But at the end of the day, it's you as a person. So communicate with them at all times.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been such a beautiful conversation. That's right.
I could go on all day.
I know we could, and I could go on all day hearing your words of wisdom and going deeper into this, but I know in my heart that you have created a very viable business, Justin, and I am really excited. And I know the Startup Life Live community joins me in sending you tons of wind for your sales and everything that you need, because you are going to become a mainstream platform that people are going to know about. The time is ready for this. You are uniquely qualified to be the leader in bringing this together, and your ability to share the vision. And folks, this is so important as a founder, or bring on a co-founder who can share the vision if it's not something that you're great at, is so important. This is how you get great investors in. It's how you keep momentum. It's how you keep inspiring your team. So
if you can't tell your own story and weave your company's narrative into your own story,
right,
then you need to really find someone who can.
Yes, exactly. And it's okay if you can't. I just want to put that out. That's why we have presidents, CEOs, and we have all these different titles and co-founders. Sure. But that is just so important to keep everyone inspired. Justin, I am so grateful that you came in and said yes.
Andy, I'm humbled that you asked me, and I'm humbled every day by my team and what we're doing. But to be able to share this with you has been just a privilege, and I thank you so much.
I am so excited. I've been around. I've got decades I've been unemployable since 1992. I've seen a lot of businesses. This one has incredible incredible legs, and I am so excited to watch it unfold. And I'm just so grateful you said yes. When you got that information during the pandemic, you said to your team, we're pivoting. And this is where we need and must be. And I'm just so grateful you said yes. So
It's
to the business.
you listen to your gut, and it's the times that you don't that you regret it.
That's
And
right.
my gut said, "This isn't it. This is it. You're going back to healthcare." And I thought, "God damn it, yeah, I am," and I'm so glad for it.
I know, but you have the knowledge that you absolutely need for this. And just the way it's all unfolding is wonderful. I'm going to pop you into the green room, do a quick wrap up with everybody here. But please know you have my deep gratitude from coming on and sharing your story, but also sharing who you be in the world and the purpose behind this wonderful, wonderful business. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, everybody. I want you all to please, please, please visit equalitymd.com, sign up for the newsletter, and just follow this amazing business. Watch how they unfold and watch where they glow year after year, because this is something that we've needed in any way, shape, and form that you can be an ally for this business. I want you there. I know I'll be there. Adding wind to their sail in any way that I can. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm so grateful for your time and that you carved it out, because I know that you grabbed a nugget, if only inspiration, even that every day is a teachable moment, stitch that on a pillow inspiration. Justin really brought incredible advice and insights for the founder journey today. We were so lucky to have him, and also helping us go deeper into our own allyship for the LGBTQ plus community and understanding that they need this specific help. Let me just say, in final words before I wrap up, you know the drill here. Promise me you'll remember. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and oh yeah, you are wicked smarter than you think. As we say here in Boston, you really are diving deeper into your founder journey. I'm so grateful that you continue to have the tenacity and courage for your calling, for your purpose, for your business. Until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day, everyone. Mwah, big love hugs.